Hello and welcome once again to the Performance Centre here at Howley Hall Golf Club in Leeds. My name is Ryan Rastall, I'm the PGA professional here and equipment expert for Golfshake.com. As you can see in my hands, we have the brand new Qi10 range of drivers from TaylorMade to take a look at. So before we do that, please make sure you hit the subscribe button to see loads more content from all of us here at Golfshake to help you play more and play better. Right, let's take a look at these. So Qi10, probably the worst kept secret in golf over the last few months. There's three very different models that we're going to talk about separately. So we'll start with the one that you'll have all seen, which is the LS model that the likes of Rory and Tiger have been using throughout this kind of closed season period, if you like, since Dubai. The LS, as you would imagine, the low spin version of the Qi10 range. Now, it's a little bit more compact in terms of its looks here. At address, you can see a little bit less from front to back there, a little bit more kind of mass taken out of the heel section here as well. And what you'll see is some familiar things like the speed pocket that we've got that goes through. We've got the carbon face, a very new look carbon face, so still that 60x carbon face. And we've also got a sliding weight here where we can shift some weight towards the toe. The same adjustability that we've seen for the last God knows how many years from TaylorMade in that loft sleeve where it can go 4 degrees, so 2 degrees up and 2 degrees down of the stated loft on the bottom. So this is the one that you're going to see probably played the most out on tour. Now, probably the most friendly for most of us golfers out there is going to be the standard Qi10. Okay, we can see now the difference between these two. We've not got this sliding weight track. We've got a weight in the back there, slightly different as well. So the LS, you can see there's a slight adjustability here in a weight that can be taken out. No doubt this weight will come with some adjustability as well on the standard Qi10, just like we saw with Stealth and some of the sim models as well. You can see there is a weight in the heel too, which is obviously making this driver slightly more draw bias than the LS, but we've seen many of the same features. So that 60x carbon face, the infinity crown that it's got there as well, which is a great new feature, I think, to Qi10. It just looks a little bit more traditional, I suppose, in that playing position. We've not got a kind of differentiation between the carbon crown and the kind of leading edge like we saw in some of the previous models, and also we've got this nice alignment kind of line on the top there in that white sort of finish. Now, the model that TaylorMade are shouting about the most is the Qi10 Max, okay? And why are they doing that? Well, the whole Qi10 name, the 10 is about 10,000 MOI in this Max model. Now, what does that mean? Well, what it means is it's very, very stable. So MOI is all about that resistance to twisting when we don't hit the middle of the face. So we should see from this driver very, very decent distance, but also huge levels of forgiveness. This is the most forgiving TaylorMade driver that we'll have seen. So again, some of the features are the same with the nice infinity crown. The color stories are the same. We've got this weight now, slight difference in the sole, definitely more weight pushed towards the heel. And we can see even more towards the heel with that weight that we've got there as well. The same adjustability in all three models. So without further ado, let's put them to the test. Let's hit them on the Trackman here in the Performance Centre and show you exactly what each model does. So we're now going to hit the Max. Obviously, the name suggests it's the most forgiving one that we've got in the Qi10 family. The weight slightly more in the heel there as well, making it a little bit more draw bias. It's got weight shoved back in the head. It's really going to hit this ball easy to launch and get it up in the air easier. Obviously, the draw bias is going to help that player that tends to have that bit of a slicey kind of technique or a path that comes from out to in and across it. We've got the speed pocket, which we've seen in the last few variations of TaylorMade drivers. We've obviously got carbon face in there, this lovely blue color this time, and just a much cleaner look, I think, to the top of the driver where we haven't got that differentiation between the kind of metal and the carbon side of the driver there. Just a nice clean crown. Kind of harks back to some of the older TaylorMade drivers that many of you will have had in the past. Certainly back in the day I had an R510 and it was quite a similar kind of colour and look to this as well. So let's have a few hits with it and take a bit of a look. I mean, when sitting it behind the ball, you can see straight away the footprint's that bit bigger. It's much longer from front to back of the driver. And obviously that's going to help with the forgiveness aspect of it as well. So let's have a few hits. We can see this little white line actually on the top of it, which is helping me to align the club face a little bit better. So again, for those of you that struggle with your alignment, that's going to really, really help you too. and feels very good off the face, nice and solid. Pretty good hit there as well. Very easy to get in the air, I would say. Like I say, that kind of carbony sort of feel to the head is definitely very prevalent in here, which you would expect. And the forgiveness should be fantastic. I mean, I think I'm going to hit it left a hell of a lot because of that huge draw bias that we've got in there. But in terms of the way it feels, it's very, very good. So the Qi10 driver is obviously the kind of middle of this family in terms of its forgiveness and also in terms of its kind of geometry as well. So it looks a little bit more traditional in that sort of shape. We've not got as much draw bias in this, although there is a weight towards the heel. It's not as far in the heel as the Qi10 Max, and also this weight on the back there as well is a little bit more towards the center of the head rather than towards the heel like we saw in Qi10 Max. Okay, we've still got the same carbon face, obviously in this really nice blue color, the same top line there with that kind of white paint infill there, and the same nice and classic look to it as well. So let's have a bit of a hit. Straight away in terms of looks, it's a little bit nicer than Qi10 Max to my eye, and because this kind of heel section of it is a little bit more sort of swept away. It's not quite as rounded as the Max head that we saw. In terms of the way it sits behind the ball, very nice as well. Again, we've got this same shaft that we're hitting in all of these, which is one of the standard stock ones that comes in it, which is the Diamana T+60X that I've got in here, which again is pretty much the same weight and flex as the shafts I would use in my drivers anyway. So let's give it a hit. Like I say, in terms of looks, very, very nice. Sits nice and square behind the golf ball. Again, feels really, really good off the face too. Nice and solid, that kind of carbony sound and feel that you associate with TaylorMade drivers. That speed pocket in there as well, providing a little bit more power back into the golf ball. And certainly, I think looks and the overall package of this is a huge improvement on Stealth 2. So the Qi10 LS is the driver many of you will have seen already because the likes of Rory and Tiger have put it in the bag in tournaments already this year. Tommy Fleetwood used it as well in the race to Dubai in the final there. And it's a driver that is definitely made for the higher club head speed, that player that wants to spin it a little bit lower, hence the LS tag on there with the low spin. We've got some of the same technologies that we see in the other models in the carbon face. We've got this white line at the top there, but a much more traditional and nicer looking head shape when we sit it down behind the golf ball. Now, the big differences are we don't have that heel weight that we see in the other two models. It's gone completely. The kind of weighting towards the back is very similar to what we saw in standard Qi10, but slightly different. There's a more kind of adjustable weight in there as well. And then also we've got this adjustability here in a sliding weight track that we have where we can shift some more weight towards the toe of the driver if we want to kind of open the face up and make it a little bit more fade bias, which I guess many of the best players in the world will kind of demand, particularly, you know, you think of Rory when you think about people hitting drivers, and certainly that big high draw that he hits a lot, we may see him move the weight towards the toe a little bit to help stabilize the face. But certainly, come as no shock to any of you, this is the one I prefer the look of behind the golf ball. It's the one that's the more traditional sort of shape, the kind of better looking driver of the three, if you like. But let's give it a hit. Okay, so again, I've put the same shaft in. So Diamana, the new T+60X that TaylorMade have put in these as standard. Straight away sits behind the ball a little bit nicer. Love the shape. It's kind of more of a pear-shaped sort of head. Let's see what it feels like off the face. Certainly a little bit more solid kind of sound and feel off this than what we get with the others. I guess probably because of the slightly different geometry of the head. Certainly there's more of that kind of crunch when you hit the strike in this. But what we're going to do now is hit loads more with each of them and see exactly how each model compares. If we take a bit of a look then at the data that we see with all the Qi10 drivers. So we'll start at the top with Max, okay? So this should be the most forgiving, highest launching and spinning driver of them all. And we can see there that it's up there in terms of the spin. So that and the standard Qi10, pretty similar. Not too much between the two of them. And if we look at the distances, 280 carry versus 282 with the standard Qi10. Okay, so we're averaging 304 and 305 respectively for both of them. In terms of the height, we're seeing Qi10 going the highest of the three at 102 feet on average, and actually the Max was the lowest. I think more because I kept getting the face a bit shut. I really struggled to square the face on this driver. It just seemed to want to draw all the time, which I guess is what it's designed to do, to be honest. There's so much weight in the heel of this driver. For me, I really struggled to square the face up at impact. But when we compare both of these to the LS, we can see a huge jump in performance, okay? The LS driver is aimed at someone like myself who does have decent amount of clubhead speed. I'm not the quickest in the world, but also my bad shot is that right to left one, okay? So this driver, everything about it is trying to stop that from happening. So we can see the spin's nice and low, down at 2,200, carries up there, 288, 289 as an average, which is pretty good for me, to be honest. And then total distance up at 316. I think anything over 310 is great for me, to be honest. I'm very, very happy with that. But it's definitely something you guys should go and try. I really, really think that Qi10 is a huge step up from Stealth 2. I really do. I just think it's a much nicer driver to look at, feels better off the face, and hopefully you're going to see some better performance out of it, just like I have as well. If you've got any comments, please drop them in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from all of you if it's about the Qi10 range or anything to do with custom fitting or new equipment that's releasing in 2024. We'll see you all very soon.